People will make you think that they're with you for the long run. They'll walk so closely to you on your path that you just think, hey, well, this person's so close to me, why would they ever leave? They're practically on top of me. And then they take a sharp turn, and all you can do is watch them as they disappear. And you stop and you turn to them, and you flail your arms, and you scream, hey, where you going? You said you'd be here. And they don't have to turn around and answer you. And it's easy to stop and stare as they disappear over the horizon, but that won't move you forward. And you can't chase them, or you're running away from your own path. And it is hard to walk when you're wounded so quickly. Maybe you have to limp for a while, but the pain will subside when you exercise that muscle. And sometimes when you walk with somebody and the weather is so nice, you can get distracted on how much ground you've covered. And you forget exactly where you are, because the destination had become a blurry vision in response to such a sharp, attractive vision walking next to you. And so it's okay to sit down and stop moving for a little bit, and close your eyes and take a deep breath in and think, where am I? I remember walking, and I remember that they were with me. And now they're gone, and I don't even remember the last steps I took. It's okay to slow down and do that. But don't sit there forever, or you won't move forward. Eventually, you will have to stand up and start walking again, when they're far enough out of your vision that you think, well, they're never coming back. There's no way that their path could even turn sharp enough to cross with mine again down the road. I'll just have to live without them. So you start walking again. And maybe it's the thought of the destination that you'd lost sight of that gets you moving forward once more. Maybe it's because you found where you were. Or maybe it's because you realized that maybe you were just better off with them leaving, and them walking away did you a favor. Maybe they walked slower than you, so you weren't walking at full speed. It's okay. You're in no rush. Your path is a one-person road. Nobody can walk it but you. Other people have paths that will intertwine with yours, maybe merge right next to it, and you'll walk in the same direction together. That's wonderful. But bear in mind that they can only walk their path, and you can only walk yours. And if you step onto theirs, you will lose where yours is. And then you have to find it again, if theirs turns somewhere that you didn't expect. Nobody is obligated to walk beside you, nor are you obligated to walk beside anyone else. It is your journey. And there will be people who turn so quickly onto your path. They merge next to you, and they walk up so quickly. And you think immediately, wow, I wouldn't mind walking with this person for a little while. And it's amazing at first, until suddenly it's not, and they're gone, and you're watching as they disappear over the horizon, and you have no idea why they turned away. Because their path has their secrets, like yours has yours. They never have the obligation to tell you why they turned away. And that is a sting that takes a while to subside. Because we are beings of emotion, and we understand that it's hard to act like you really care about somebody and then stop. So when it happens to you, you're confused. You're frustrated. How could this happen to me? I didn't know anyone was capable of this. It seemed like just yesterday they were talking about how much longer we were going to be walking down this path. And now they're gone and I don't know what I did. It's okay. Let them walk their path. Maybe it will guide them back to you. Forgive them. It is their path after all. You didn't pave it. They have to do what they have to do. And so do you. And if you stop moving forward just because somebody walked away and you refuse to move forward, you are hurting nobody but yourself, because people can only walk their own path and you are obstructing nobody. Nobody but yourself. Somebody strong enough will see you in their way and they will find a way around you. And when you know where you are going, you are somebody strong enough. So get up and keep walking. Your vision of the destination is what needs to be the strongest. When you know where you're going, you want to be there. And the journey is so fun, but it's also tiring. And it's exciting to share that journey with somebody else or multiple people. But nobody has to walk beside you. And you should be okay with that. Moving forward is simple, but not always easy. Simple in the fact that it lacks complexity, it lacks multiple steps, it lacks multiple directions. But it isn't always easy. Simple and easy are two different things. Simple just means elementary. Easy means it doesn't require much effort to pull off. Moving forward can require a ton of effort to pull off. Even just one footstep can feel like you are tugging an anchor on your ankle. But you cannot quit moving forward just because it feels like you're pulling weight. Find a way to shake yourself of that weight, if possible. If it isn't possible, get stronger and adapt to be able to handle that weight. When you are focused on your issues, your goals become blurry. But when you're focused on your goals, your issues become blurry. A dog in the hunt does not know that it has fleas. It doesn't feel the itch because it feels the rush. But when the hunt stops, it starts scratching itself because it itches. And it gets so focused on how bad it itches that it doesn't want to get up to start running again because it doesn't think that it can. It doesn't think it shake the itches, but what it doesn't know is that running is what shakes the itches. It gets distracted. Not distracted in the way that he just turns in the opposite direction and closes his eyes or goes to sleep and imagines that when his eyes open, the fleas will be gone. No, they've probably increased their population at that point. He distracts himself by doing something productive, something that feeds him. So when he gets up in the morning, he realizes the quickest way to beat those itches is to get up and start running. So he wakes up and he gets up and he starts running. So get up and start running. Focus on your goals and your issues will become blurry. You won't notice them. When you look across the room, you see what's across the room, and you forget that your nose is still in your field of vision. But when you look at your nose, it looks like there's two of everything across the room, and you can't really see it that well, but you can see your nose. It looks weird, doesn't it? How hard is it to unsee it now? As long as you think about the fact that you can see your nose, you're going to be able to see your nose. But when you find something else to do, something else to focus on, you'll forget that you can see your nose. I forget every day. And if I kept staring at my nose all the time, I'd never see where I was going. I'd bump into stuff. And at that point, it would be easier to just stop moving because I'd stop bumping into stuff. Right? You think, well, if staring at my nose means I'm going to bump into a bunch of stuff, I should just stop moving. That way I can't bump into a bunch of stuff. Or you could just stop staring at your nose. But it's right there and I can't unsee it. And every time I try to unsee it, I still see it. That's because you're trying to unsee it instead of trying to see something else. You're trying to stop the itches instead of trying to keep the itches from getting to you. In the jungle, or the savannas or whatever, a lion and a gazelle wake up. Let's say there are an equal amount of lions and an equal amount of gazelles. Or no, let's not say that. Let's say there's one more gazelle than there is lions. And every day it restarts. There's still one more gazelle. Now, the lions, when they wake up, they only have to be able to outrun the slowest gazelle in order to eat. But in order to not get eaten, each gazelle has to be able to outrun the lion that's coming after them. Or at least it has to outrun the other gazelles. But guess what happens? When the sun rises, both of them get up and start running. One doesn't want to starve, the other doesn't want to get eaten. So start running. When you're painting, you go layer by layer. You'll first draw the background, then you'll start to layer in the foreground. Anything that comes closer, you just paint accordingly on a new layer. But if an artist messes up on a foreground, he could paint it by covering it with something that comes before it, or he has to paint the layer of background that it's in front of all over again. But he put in so much work, he could just quit painting and throw out the canvas. But if he goes through it again, and he puts in that effort, and he doesn't mess up this time, he has that beautiful painting, and nobody can see that there was ever a mistake. People will recognize your success. Keep painting. Don't give up. You had the vision before you started painting. And just because you made a mistake, you think you should stop painting? People have this idea of success in their head that it's in a line, and you're in the middle of this line, and on the left side there's failure, and on the right side there's success. And you think you either go to one side or the other. That is incorrect. It is a line, but you are on the left side, failure is in the middle, and success is on the side to the right. You must go through failure to get to success. You fail, or else you won't know what success is. You'll have nothing to compare it to. Without failure, there is no success. Without light, there is no dark. You try, you fail, and you adjust, and you try again, and you fail again, and you adjust again, and you try again. And maybe you don't fail this time, because you adjusted, and you made it work. You knew what was wrong, and you identified it, and you worked on it. And you can repeat that cycle as many times as it takes. But if you give up at failure, you've only stopped halfway. You'll never reach success if you don't run for it. You got to run through failure. So you want to be successful? Fail fast. Get through it as quickly as you can. Get up, get out, and fail. Yeah, people might laugh at you, but that's because they don't know that you're going for success. They think that you're in the middle of the line, and there's failure on one end and success on the other, and you're just chasing failure like an idiot. No. You're chasing success like the genius that you are. And you're going to get it, too. As long as you keep trying, failing, and adjusting, you will succeed. But you need to know that for yourself and practice it. In a football game, if one team scores a touchdown, does the other one give up just because they're losing? Or if they're losing at halftime? No, they can still win. They just have to run all the way to the other side of the field as many times as it takes, or they have to get tackled and then get up and go again. They can still succeed. As long as they don't give up while they're losing. The opposite of success is not failure. The opposite of success is average. The reason why so few people are successful is because so few people are willing to keep fighting when something starts to fight back. What are you fighting if there's nothing there to fight back? Fighting a ghost? That's not going to let you grow. It can't do anything to you, which means everything you do works on it, which means you're not improving because you don't know what doesn't work. So when you come face to face with a warrior and he beats you to the ground, you're going to think, oh, maybe I shouldn't have tried to spin around. Yeah, you probably shouldn't have. And people are going to call you an idiot for it. But they're not going to call you an idiot when you can see their attack coming and you put them on the ground. They're not going to call you an idiot when you get to where you want to be. When something starts fighting back, it's a sign that you are actually fighting for something, and nothing worth having comes without a fight. So keep fighting, even when things start fighting back, especially when things start fighting back. If you give up, you're just going to get beaten. That doesn't really feel good, does it? Eventually, you're going to come across that same warrior who puts you on the ground. And you're going to see his attacks coming. Because you went and you fought him 1,000,000 times and you lost 1,000,000 times. But you're not going to lose this time. Because you know exactly what he's going to do and when he's going to do it. And yeah, you had to learn by trial and error. But you learned. And now you're going to get him. And you're going to move forward. And there's going to be someone else to fight. Until suddenly, there isn't. And you've defeated an entire army. Because you lined them up and you took them on one. You planned out what to do. You learned how to beat them. No matter how many times they beat you first, you came back and kept fighting. And you got them. And now you're where you want to be. But so many people, they take a punch in the face and they cry and they go, I need to go ice this. And they run away. Because something fought back. It's easy to say you're a fighter when you've never fought. It's easy to say that you're the best fighter in the world when you can defeat all the shadows you're fighting. They do the same thing as you. How are they supposed to win? The enemies are moving targets. You have to be able to adapt to their movements. If you're a bullfighter, you're not going to be a pretty good one if you're running after the bull and the bull's standing still. The bull's going to run for you and you have to be able to move out of the way. And if you don't, whoopsie. You might want to get that looked at. You have to be able to read the bull. When you pull open that cloth and the bull sees that red, the bull isn't attracted to the color. The bull's attracted to the motion. And it starts to charge. And it builds up so much momentum. Because it knows that if it hits you with that force, you're going down. But what it doesn't know is that you're going to move out of the way. You're going to use that momentum against it because now it can't stop. The brakes are failing. Read the bull. Something that knows how much force it has is dangerous. But an enemy who knows how much force you have is more dangerous. So are you going to stop painting? Stop running? 'Stop fighting? 'Stop fighting? 'Stop running? 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 'Stop fighting? 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 just because you failed. Just because you have had a failure does not mean that you are a failure. A failure is a quitter. But failing isn't quitting. Unless you quit after. Get up and start running. People are going to see you at the finish line. They're not going to see you when you're running. And if they do see you when you're running, they might actually be attracted to that. This guy's running for something. You're moving pretty fast. Good for him. People are going to see the painting when it's done, and they're not going to see the mistake you made. They're not going to know. How could they? But when they're throwing out all their paintings because they keep messing up, it's because they don't know that you messed up. And you'll go to them and you say, hey, I did the same thing. Just paint over it. An empty pitcher can't pour water into any cups. So before you try to usher people in the right direction, make sure you're headed in the right direction. The shepherd who moves the sheep towards the wolves isn't a very good shepherd. Make sure you're walking in the right direction before you decide to take anyone with you. If someone decides to tag along, that's whatever. But if you're going to willingly try to move someone, make sure you know where you're going. Fill yourself up with what you want to pour out. It will leak when you fill yourself high enough. And people will get around you to soak up what's spilling out. You want to make other people happy? You cannot do that when you are unhappy. Your emotions are infectious. If you're sad, they'll know. Some people are better at hiding it than others, but there is always a way for your emotions to spill when you're full enough. So if you want to make someone else happy, work on making yourself happy. Because guess what? You should never be reliant on somebody else for happiness. So if you are giving people happiness and they're becoming reliant on you, you're doing it wrong. Make yourself happy. They'll see how you make yourself happy and start to make themselves happy. And then you guys can be happy together instead of happy for each other or because of each other. Be two happy people in the same place or more. So it's easy to sit down and try to let the pain subside when someone walks away so quickly. Just remember that they had somewhere to be too. And you may never know why they had to walk away. And it may not ever make sense, no matter how hard you try to deduce it. It's okay. It doesn't matter. Just keep moving forward and you'll end up where you want to be. You can sit down and try to find yourself, but knowing where you are won't get you to where you want to be. It'll only give you the direction. the sense of direction. It's like sharpening your axe but never using it on the tree. You could have the sharpest axe in the world, but if you never cut down a tree with it, it's a useless axe. Now, you could use a dull axe and try to beat down a tree, and if it's the dullest axe ever, it won't work. You have to be able to balance sharpening the axe and using the axe. Sharpening your skill set and utilizing your skill set. Knowing where you are and moving to where you want to be with that knowledge. And people will see that when you have a good sense of direction, and they will want to follow you. You cannot attract people if you are not an attractive person, and I don't mean physically. You can become magnetic by making yourself a magnetic person. You can't be magnetic by trying to make other people stick to you. They'll stick naturally when you become magnetic. Maybe that person will come back and they'll say, "Hey, sorry, something happened. I had to go. Here's what happened." Or they'll say, "I don't know why I did what I did, but I did it." And sometimes that's the best excuse they can come up with, and that's the honest truth sometimes. They weren't in a place where they needed to be. So they went off, they worked on themselves, and they came back when they were ready. Or they never came back. Either way, you moved forward. That's how you met them again. They didn't go back to the same spot because they knew they'd be the same person. And if they're the same person, then they'd just leave again. They knew you'd be moving forward, so they moved forward and met back up with you. So you can let it sting for a bit, or you can get up and exercise that muscle and walk it off. Crawl if you have to. But once you know where you are, stop sitting still to find yourself and start moving. You'll get lazy if you sit there long enough. And then you look at the road in front of you that the destination all the way in the back looks so blurry and you just don't care anymore. Keep your vision sharp. And keep moving forward. You'll go through the failure, but you'll get to the success if you keep moving forward. It's a forward path from start to success. But you have to go through the failure, or you have to go around it if you don't go through it. It's like mountains. You can go around it, or you can climb over it. Or a river. You can either row through it or walk all the way around it. But either way, if you keep going, you'll get to success. So keep chasing it. It's something worth having, and you're someone worth having it. And it is hard to accept when someone leaves so suddenly. It does hurt every time. They make you believe that they'll be there and then they're not. What are you going to do? You just got to find yourself and move forward. When you're deep enough underwater, you don't know where the surface is. and it's hard to tell. You can't see any light anywhere. But let's say you can breathe underwater. Maybe you have some kind of tank system with you. If you're that lost, you got to get creative. Put your hand above your mouth and breathe out. And if the bubbles hit your hands, up is above you. If they don't, move in a different direction until the bubbles hit your hands, and then follow that direction. Found yourself by breathing, by slowing down. But you didn't linger underwater, or you'd run out of oxygen. The universe worked hard to put you where you are. Don't waste its effort by staying there. Move forward. It's about time that you found yourself and started moving forward. And the first step to doing that is knowing where you want to be. You have to know the end before you start, or else you're just walking aimlessly. And you may end up putting yourself further in the wrong direction by doing that. So what do you care about the most? Claw at that idea. Find where it is and start moving towards it. And when that is strong enough, it doesn't matter who joins you or who walks away, because you know it's worth being there. It's always worth being there.